This video was sponsored by me. Me and lots of research. More about that later in the video. Good day and welcome to Disruptive Philosophy. My name is Brittany and this is the next video in my series, Prime Alchemy: How Humans Work. This is lesson 3B, and in this video we are going to be talking about the positions and roles of the cognitive functions within a personality archetype. This is a video series that is building on itself, so if there are any terms or concepts that you don't recognize in this video, please go back and check out the rest of the videos in the series, because I probably have defined it there. And if not, just write it in the comments, because I am definitely checking comments and responding to as many as possible. Jung did not see the types, such as intra and extroversion, as dualistic, but rather as tendencies. Humans have both, and some people are balanced. Dualistic, a doctrine that the universe is under the dominion of two opposing principles, one of which is good and the other is evil. A view of human beings as constituted of two irreconcilable elements, such as matter and spirit. I believe Carl Jung's work was the initial foundation for a lot of psychology and personality archetypes and understanding the human psyche, but I also believe that he didn't finish it and he expected it to be expanded upon after he had passed in the 1950s, and it has been, and it is continuing to be. And like mentioned in the last video in this series, this is just a tool for better understanding of the human psyche and the human experience. The more information you have, the more you can understand the tool, and how deep you want to go is completely up to you. In Jung's psychology philosophy about personality types and cognitive functions, he seemed to think that the cognitive functions were on an introversion-extroversion scale, or coin. With the system Prime Alchemy, we are going to expand on that concept that there are 4 cognitive functions and each of them are on a coin. One side is introverted and one side is extroverted, and one side of each coin you value and the other side you don't value. Not valuing a function does not mean that you do not use the function. It is just not your preferred or desired part of the coin. Personality archetypes are created by the 4 cognitive functions and their extroverted-introverted coins stacking up in different reoccurring patterns. So basically, if we had 4 coins and on each of the coin was a cognitive function, thinking, sensing, feeling, intuition, don't know why I almost forgot that one. And on one side of the coin was the introverted version of that function. So on one side of the coin, we have introverted feeling, introverted thinking, introverted intuition, and introverted sensing. And on the other side of the coin was the extroverted side of those functions. Extroverted feeling, extroverted thinking, extroverted sensing, extroverted intuition. And then we flipped each coin. Okay? And the side of the coin that was up would be the valued functions for that personality archetype. And those functions would be ordered based on the priority of use. You value one side of each of your 4 cognitive coins. The sides of the coins that you value in a specific order make up your personality archetype. The sides of the coin that you don't value make up your shadow personality archetype. So if you're wondering why you value the functions you value, the very reductionist answer is evolution. This is the way evolution figured out was the best to create a psyche, a cognition, a personality type for the species of human beings. It's just evolution and fidelity. The same as our DNA, it's reoccurring information replicating itself over and over and over again, just like our cells, just like DNA. There's information in our psyche that has to replicate to create a full, balanced human being. And the reason it is evolution and fidelity is because clearly They fucking work, okay? We're all here. Humans have been here for thousands of years. We may be failing at doing like society right now, but it seems to have recreated humans in a pretty successful way that maybe we should pay attention to. Over thousands of years of evolution, these are the archetypal patterns that our DNA and the collective unconscious resolve. These patterns were ideal for the survival of humanity's population. The result of our 4-function coin flip is 16 different personality archetypes. 4 by 4 squared, that's how many possibilities you have of the outcome. Yay, math! Now, within the Prime Alchemy system, I am still going to use the 4-letter Myers-Briggs categories or identifiers for each archetype, mainly because they are widely known, widely understood. There are similarities between the different personality typing systems with the 4-letter Myers-Briggs categories. What are those categories? It would be like INTJ, INFP, ENFP, and so on. Like I mentioned before, I am an INTJ, if y'all haven't figured that out yet. So we're only going to use these 4 letters just for convenience, and because they're already widely understood. I will also be giving each of the personality archetypes a archetypal name, and we'll get into that in part 4, where we actually do a video on each of the personality archetypes, and I dive in deep. Dive in deep. We're gonna dive in deep. I'm a goofball. Let's do the fucking title card so I stop singing. So for easier comprehension and understanding, Prime Alchemy actually uses film and movie character tropes and archetypes in front of and behind the camera to best explain how these positions within your personality type, your coin positions, how they function together and how they formulate your decision-making process, desires, personality archetype. I find that this allegory of using movies and movie tropes, or this metaphor, really helps with understanding and communicating with people about this concept, and kind of breaks it down from that like pretentious hoity-toity level of needing to know all the different fucking letters and everything, which I think a lot of people sometimes confuse. So there are 4 dialectic or coin positions within a personality type, and dialectic just means opposing forces, or coining is what I'm going to call it. We're coining. Dialectic, coining, you know, I don't know. Let me know if you like it. And just like the cognitive functions are on a coin of introverted extroversion, so are the positions within the coin and their roles within the personality archetype. So let's get into a visual, because you guys are definitely going to need a visual to understand this. It helps me. Throw the visual up, editing Brittany. So our first coin position is going to be the director and the producer in the personality type. And we will start out with the director. The first coin position is going to be the director and the producer of your movie. The director is going to be your valued position, and the producer will be your unvalued position. The director position within Prime Alchemy is also known in other personality typing systems as the hero, the lead, the CEO, the dad, the dominant, or the driver. The director position is the creative vision for the story of you. That's the director's role. And this coin is in an identity position. You personally identify and feel validated in this function. This is your comfort zone. It's your default. It takes a low amount of energy to use whatever cognitive function is in this position. You develop competency and mastery of this function early in life. This is the director of your life's narrative, is the function that is the master of the creative vision for your life's narrative and storyline, as well as being in charge of guiding, assisting, supporting, encouraging, and inspiring all the rest of the characters, or cognitive functions, in their roles, coin positions, throughout the production of your life's movie. Directors on set are responsible for working with the producer to make sure the director has the resources they need to direct the movie. The director is also responsible for being accountable to the producer if the production gets out of hand, out of budget, or gets too crazy. Directors work with all the heads of major departments on a movie set: makeup, costuming, lighting, cinematography, the composer, set design, all the way up to saying action for scenes. If the director is unbalanced, or if the cognitive function in the director coin position is repressed or has been traumatized and is not on a healing process, then it's going to come off like a god figure. An unbalanced director is a god figure. A god sits on their cloud and looks down on the other functions as well as other people, doesn't do anything to help with the chaos and lack of direction, and is judgmental and pretentious. So for this video, I'm going to use my personality type and me as examples to help explain these coin positions. So I am an INTJ, and my stack looks like this. It's probably up on the screen now. So my first cognitive function that's in my director position is going to be introverted intuition, and the other side of my first coin is going to be extroverted intuition. So my introverted intuition, when it is healthy, is planning out the future, picking up patterns, and sometimes, predicting solutions based on hunches. When my NI is unhealthy, it looks like a pretentious god sitting on a cloud, laughing and giggling at everyone else who can't predict the things that are going to happen in the future that are going to ruin everything. It gets very pretentious and judgy, and it looks down on other people for not having the same level of intuition that I have. Now let's look at the other side of the first coin, which is going to be the producer position or role. This is the other side of your first coin, and it is going to be your unvalued side. So in a production, oftentimes the producer is not the most valued part of a movie production, because most of the time the producer has to do what? It has to tell the director, no, we can't afford that. No, we can't do that. And it gets to get excited when it gets to tell the director, yes, we can do that, or I figured out how we can do that. The producer is known in other personality typing systems as the nemesis or the opposing personality. It is an unvalued coin position. It is a defender to the director. It's the necessary arch nemesis to the director. It is the producer of the story of you. You have reoccurring battles with this function, but your director cannot defeat it because movies don't get made without producers. And when the director and producer are on the same page working together, production goes smoothly. The cognitive function in the coin position of the producer tends to give the director too much or too little. And when it does, the entire operating system or the entire movie set will be hit with a blue screen and will shut down. The producer may fight with the director, but comes to the defense of the director if any other role on the set wants to pick a fight with the director. It's like your personality stack's best frenemy. The producer coin position is also responsible for filling in the holes or the gaps or the missing pieces in the puzzle when the director is struggling. So it's really important for when our first valued priority function kind of checks out, struggling with burnout or is struggling to find a solution, we can go to the other side of our coin, and oftentimes it will help us. For me as an INTJ, with my first coin position being introverted intuition as a valued function and extroverted intuition as an unvalued function. When I don't have purpose and drive within my introverted intuition, then I oftentimes need to go and brainstorm and get new ideas from my producer, which is extroverted intuition. And extroverted intuition is about brainstorming new ideas. When the unvalued side of your first coin is unhealthy, is repressed, is dealing with trauma, then it becomes the Judas of your story. It motherfucking betrays you, is what it does. I mean, I told you it was a frenemy, okay? And if a producer on a movie set doesn't like the director or doesn't like the film, then he may sabotage it, and the producer is in the best position to do that. So it's good to get healthy and to watch out. The producer, when unhealthy, can also come with some undesirable traits. So it can be passive aggressive, avoidant, paranoid, or even like a seductive voice calling you to sabotage your own story. So for me as an INTJ, this can look like me getting overwhelmed with having too many ideas and not being able to narrow down on which idea I actually want to manifest in reality. And then I become overwhelmed and then I get a blue screen for my cognition and I shut the fuck down. Don't do nothing. It's really fun. Okay, let's move on to the second coin position. Roll the title card. The second coin position in your stack is the way that you communicate with the rest of the world. It's the two functions, or the function coin, that we as other people tend to see the most in your life. And this coin position, your valued side is the protagonist of your life, and the unvalued side is the antagonist of your life. Just adding these definitions in here for your information. Protagonist, the leading character, hero, or heroine of a drama or other literary work, a proponent for or advocate of a political cause or social program. Antagonist, a person who is opposed to, struggles against, or competes with another opponent or adversary, the adversary of the hero or protagonist of a drama or other literary work. It is very common that we see the antagonist in most stories is the villain, but for this series, we want to think of the antagonist as just an opposing force or a dialectical force. I will be diving deeper into that concept as you keep watching this video. Second coin position, valued side of the coin, is the protagonist. It is also known in other personality typing system as the parent, the auxiliary, the executive assistant, the mom, or the person in the passenger seat. The protagonist is the main character of your life story. The second coin position is also considered a tribe position. The protagonist strives to protect and strengthen others and serves as a role model and teacher that fosters development of this function in other people. The protagonist of a movie works the most directly with the director. They are a team, but the director has authority to not listen to the protagonist, but not vice versa. The protagonist directing their own movie would be a horrible movie. Your second coin valued position is what we call a communication position. So the way that you will communicate with other people will be whatever the extroverted function is in this coin, okay? Whether it is valued or not, which can affect how well you communicate with other people. The personality archetypes that tend to have extroverted thinking or extroverted feeling in this second communication function tend to be great communicators because extroverted thinking, TE, or doing, and extroverted feeling, FE, or empathy, both of those functions are also communication functions. So when you have a communication function in a communication position, you tend to get naturally better communicators. I didn't emphasize that point to brag because I do have extroverted thinking in my second position. It's what I'm doing with y'all right now. I am teaching, my favorite thing to do. My protagonist is in the limelight right now. I wanted to emphasize that because it can help people understand where they need to grow and develop to be better communicators. Let me not say better. Everyone's good. Everyone can communicate. More effective. Let me put it that way. More effective communicators. When your protagonist coin position is repressed or depressed, then nothing's going on in your movie, okay? Nothing's happening. Because if the protagonist is depressed or repressed or doesn't want to do anything, then there is no movie. The movie is not moving forward. There is no story. We're just watching the protagonists in their room scrolling through TikTok. What a boring movie. Another fun thing with this function is that because it is in the second coin position, you will often look up to people who have that cognitive function in their director position. right? So I'm an INTJ. My protagonist cognitive function is extroverted thinking, and people who have extroverted thinking in their director function, like ENTJs, I do tend to look up to. Even if I don't know a person is an ENTJ, people who tend to be my role models, or I don't like using role models, people that inspire me tend to be people who are extroverted thinker dominants, who have TE in their first function. And so for everyone, I tend to see there is a pattern of looking up to people who have the cognitive function that is in your protagonist position in their director position. When the protagonist in your cognitive function coin stack is unbalanced or repressed, then it is going to look like a raging narcissist. When that protagonist position is either unbalanced, repressed, or depressed, it has two options. It's going to be inactive, and it could also look like a raging narcissist. So narcissist would be the unbalanced role of your protagonist coin position. So now let's talk about the unvalued side of your coin, which is going to be your antagonist. The unvalued side of your second coin is the antagonist. It is also known in other personality typing systems as the witch, the critic, or the absent-minded professor. So the antagonist is the dialectic opposite to the protagonist of your story. It literally is meant to antagonize your life narrative to get you moving. Many of a person's insecurities are held in this position, even though this side of this coin is just as capable as the protagonist side. You don't value it, and so it becomes an insecurity. When the function feels the whole stack is about to break down, this function, or the antagonist, will try to shift, blame, and control others around them to not show their true insecurities or the personality's weaknesses. This function is not the villain, it is a motivator. It is the function that is made uncomfortable so the plot of the movie can continue. So the unbalanced role on your second coin in your stack is the antagonist, and it is meant there to antagonize your protagonist so that the story keeps going. But it does also hold a lot of your insecurities. So for me as an INTJ, my antagonist is introverted thinking, and it definitely will antagonize when my extroverted thinking is kind of failing at the job. It will start asking, why? 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 You know those kids that just ask why? I was one of those. I'm still one of those kids as an adult. I want to know why. Why does that work? Why are we going to do it that way? I have probably already figured out how, because that's my valued function. But why? Now, when your antagonist cognitive function is unbalanced, then it has another role, and that role is a lunatic. It sounds like a lunatic. When I am unbalanced and I give you my introverted thinking or my personal subjective logic, I sound like a lunatic. I sound crazy. And when this antagonist function is unbalanced and is being a lunatic, it is going to seek to undermine and demoralize other people. It will pull rank, and it will take unfair advantage of its position or power within the social structure. It can be manipulative, very manipulative. I will admit my flaws. Title card! Let's go to coin position tree. So the third coin position in your personality stack is going to be the writer and the comedian. It's the person who writes your story. Oh, and if you're paying attention right now, it's probably on strike because there's a writer's strike going on in Hollywood.
Well, another comment that I've been seeing a lot on the internet is if everyone goes on strike and things just shut down, can't shows that already have like scripts and stuff written continue to be produced and filmed? And I feel like that really undervalues the work of writers and ignores the point that writing doesn't just stop once the script leaves the writer's room.
Pay your writer. At least pay attention to it, okay? All right, let's get into the third position. The valued side of your third coin position is called your writer. It is also known in other personality typing systems as the internal child, the teenager, the tertiary, the backseat driver, or the kid. It is the writer of the screenplay of your life. It is also in a tribe position. You play in this function and it inspires others. If your director doesn't get the screenplay from the writer, the movie doesn't happen and we will struggle to find purpose in life. The function in your writer rebel position will always have a childlike wonder and will always be a bit youth spirited. This is the function that we find creativity in and find originality. And although we see it as the third function in our stack, because it has that childlike innocence of it, it does not have the same capacity as the fourth position, which we will get to in a moment. So you do have to consciously work on developing this function, and it tends to be the barrier for growth. We tend to get stuck in this function because it's childlike and it hinders us from accessing our fourth position, which actually is where we grow. So when self-help or psychology or philosophy talks about your inner child, here's where it is. We can now find it, label it, and talk to it directly and work on it feeling more safe and comfortable around other people in certain situations or just in life in general. And it really is important to have friends or family in your life that have whatever cognitive function you have in the writer position, that they have it in their director or protagonist position, because then it helps inspire you, and also it helps basically like a parent with a child. Your writer child function can look up to these other director protagonist functions and it can be inspired to develop itself to a better capacity and to better express itself. The cognitive function in your writer rebel position is also something that you will find that you are curious about in others, right? We get to know people by being curious about them. We tend to be the most curious about this third function in our stack when it comes to other people. As an example, like I've mentioned, I'm an INTJ. My third function, or the writer rebel of my story, is introverted feeling. It is my value system, my emotions, all my feelings inside, and woo, it is childlike. It can be childlike and it can be bratty sometimes. We'll get more into that. But introverted feeling is where you find identity and where you develop the value system and beliefs of your true self. And so this is what I am intimately and passionately invested in learning about other people in my life. I want to know their passions and their desires, and I want to meet the writer of their story, not just the protagonist, not just the director. I want to know who wrote this shit. This shit is good. Who wrote it? I want to know. They're maybe one of my favorite writers now. I want to know who wrote your fucking story. And the expression of the cognitive function in your writer position also helps inspire other people. So again, I have my introverted feeling or my value system within my third writer function. When I am walking the talk of my value systems, it inspires other people to either explore their value systems or to research more on some of the values that I hold. This is also why, particularly for INTJs, with introverted feeling being in that writer position, it is oftentimes why INTJs are very revolutionary personality archetypes or have a great work that they feel that they need to provide the tribe or the community, because this is a tribe position. So we use this position to help us connect with our community or our tribe. And when your writer rebel is unbalanced and checks out, they turn into the role of a fucking brat. A fucking brat. They act out like a bratty, immature child, okay? And I'm going to use the example, not of myself, but of George R.R. Martin, who is the writer of Game of Thrones. And when somebody took his party over and ruined the story with season 8 D&D, he decided, I ain't writing that next book. I'm gonna go the silent treatment. I don't want to talk to you no more. I'm gonna go here in my corner, and I ain't gonna give you what you want. Yo, you want you want Winds of Winter? Not giving it to you. I'm going to make a whole nother fucking Game of Thrones series on HBO. I'm gonna write on it and produce it, but I am not gonna finish Winds of Winter. Brat. The writer turns into a brat. Okay, the unvalued side of your third coin position, or the other side of the coin to your writer rebel, is going to be your comedian, because every story needs a little comedy, needs a little levity, and it's good to have a comedian on your writing team, isn't it? So the comedian is the unvalued position on your third coin in your personality stack. It is known in other personality typing systems as the trickster or the rebel or the bratty child. It helps the writer add comedy to the screenplay of your life. It provides your screenplay with comedic relief when necessary to continue your life experience. When the cognitive function that is in your comedian position is unbalanced, then it will look like a hypocrite. It tends to be hypocritical by suggesting use of this cognitive function, but not using it themselves. So the cognitive function that is in your comedian position is a little bit of a wild card and a little bit unpredictable, because out of all 8 positions within your personality coin stack, this one actually has the least capacity for growth, if that makes sense. So if every other cognitive function has the capacity of 100, this function maybe only has the capacity of 80. And you're already starting pretty low on the ability to use it in your life, because this is going to be, again, your function that has the least. I just like to say capacity because I don't like to call it a weak function. It's not weak. You don't have any weak functions. I don't like using that word. It's just your capacity to use it is smaller. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if that makes sense. This is a very complicated concept to understand, and I'm trying to make it simple. So please, please validate me in the comments if this makes any fucking sense. Please. Help the algorithm and help me feel like I am doing a good job at teaching. So when your comedian position is unbalanced, it becomes your hypocrite. It will take advantage. It will bait other people. It will put itself and other people into double binds, non-win-win situations, or it creates situations in which there is no out for either party, you or the other person that you put in that situation. Or like I put in here, this sounds very well. Create situations from which there's no escaping because of mutually conflicting, unavoidable conditions. By the inaction of this function, it forces the people around them to have to make up for it. It was just easier to read. Sometimes you just got to I don't have a teleprompter, you just got to bring it out, just got to read it, break the fourth wall. This is life. So oftentimes we will be hypocritical within our comedian function, but we will also sometimes just not use that function, which will inherently force other people around us to make up for that, particularly in social situations. For me, the cognitive function that is in my comedian position is extroverted feeling. As you can see, I take it so very seriously. It is extroverted feeling, empathy, Effie. And although I do have a lot of empathy and care for other people and humans, the way that I'm able to express it, I sometimes struggle. This is oftentimes why I can come off really cold or sharp, or sometimes people just think I'm a bitch. It is not because I am a bitch or I don't care, I don't have empathy. It's that the cognitive function that humans use to express emotion is in my least capacity position. It's my comedian. It finds extroverted expressions of emotions Hilarious. Hilarious. Or if like the extroverted expression of emotion doesn't fit the intensity of the context of the situation, hilarious. Like somebody slips and falls or like gets hit, or like, you know, those montages of like funny fail videos. It's the reaction on people's faces, like the people who are watching the person who just failed, or the reaction of the person who just failed. Fucking love it. So funny. Cracks me up every single time. I also really like the fact that we have this comedian position, because it can help when you are trying to type people by finding what they find funny and analyzing which cognitive function their humor is connected to. It can help you type people. It can also help you understand who you might find funny as a comedian. I tend to find comedians that have F feeling in their writer comedian position, whether it's introverted or extroverted. I tend to find them incredibly funny. Incredibly funny. It's not the only function that you can find humor in. You tend to find humor in this function as well as your unvalued second function or your antagonist. But this one tends to be where you make humor from. So you may laugh at different types of humor, but when you try to make people laugh, or when you find something particularly funny that you want to share with people, it will typically be from this comedian function, context, arena, whatever. I ran out of words. Hopefully that explained it. Let's move on to my next topic, concept. Okay. Oh, the next thing on here is for me to give you an example. I gave you some examples already of my INTJ. This one says, I'm just going to read it, okay? Again, breaking the fourth wall. So like after a social engagement, I often ask my partner, did they like me? Did I do okay? Did I embarrass myself by saying things that made people uncomfortable? Did people like that? Because I have no idea. My analyzation of other people's emotions when I'm in a new situation, when I'm maybe not as comfortable in a situation as I should be, it really sucks. I'm missing it. I have to go through the whole scenario after the social situation so I can pick up and be like, oh, okay, so they meant that as like a really good compliment, and oh, they weren't offended by that thing I said. They were actually laughing at it. Like, I have to go back and like do a replay. And I'm getting better at that actually as I've been working through my self-individuation process and I've been healing. I have found one of the things that have stood out is the difference in how I feel after a social situation. I am not as anxiety ridden. I am not replaying the whole thing and then being, you know, horribly embarrassed in my room because of certain things that I did. I'm finding that I don't have those moments anymore. Not that I don't have them anymore, but I don't have them as much. They're starting to subside, which is amazing and makes me not so nervous for the next social interaction, not as an anxiety ridden that I'm gonna make someone upset or cry. I'm guilty of doing that on accident. It wasn't on purpose. I wasn't trying to make people cry. They just asked me a question and I gave them an honest answer. Part of the things that you have to grow, you have to work through and grow through if you are an INTJ or an ISTJ, which we'll get into more in the future. Okay, let's get to the fourth coin position. Woo! This might be a long video, but it's okay. We're gonna get through these. I'll timestamp this shit. Fourth and last coin position. The valued side of your fourth coin is going to be your muse or guru. For a more comprehensive understanding, I've changed the sage guru to just the mentor. Corrections will be made in this video essay, and in future videos, this coin position will just be called the mentor. The mentor, a more experienced advisor or confidant to a young, inexperienced character, particularly to the protagonist. The mentor is better skilled, faster, and more experienced than their student, and they are passing those traits on to the student. Their role is to introduce a new skill or sharpen the current skills of their student, often hoping to pass the torch because they know their career is coming to an end. And the unvalued side of your fourth coin is going to be your hero. And I know there are probably people that are like, yeah, but hero is normally used for the dominant function in a personality stack if you're into personality typing. And we're not going to use it as the dominant function because we're going to use the concept of the hero saving the day is what we're going to think of in this movie allegory for personality types. And that is why it is actually your unvalued fourth function, which is like at the bottom of your stack. So the valued coin in your fourth position is called your Sage Guru. It is also known in other personality typing systems as the anima or animus, the inferior function, the young adult, the godmother, the aunt, or the backseat passenger. This is your wise old mentor for your life's narrative. The fourth coin position is an identity position. You personally identify and feel validated in this function. The mentor. Coin position desires to push the limits and needs a higher cause and inspires purpose in your director, as well as in your writer. It can be cocky and overconfident about its abilities, especially when it is young and immature. It is the mediator of the self. Internal conflict with the personality stack starts here. That basically means that when our personality archetype or our psyche is in neurosis, this fourth coin position tends to be what we are ignoring. And we are trying to navigate life using just our first, second, and third coins and only the valued sides of those coins. That's the only thing we're valuing. And when we do that, it looks like neurosis. And when different personality types are in a neurotic state or in neurosis within their personality coin stack, you can actually see what they will most likely get diagnosed with by the DSM. There is a pattern and connection. I am an INTJ, which means I have introverted intuition, which is a very abstract function. It is where our imagination is. It's where we get visuals within our head. I went over this in lesson 2, so please check out that video for all the definitions of the cognitive functions. People with this function, introverted intuition or purpose in their top 2 positions, tend to get diagnosed with schizophrenia or schizoid type of mental health disorders from the DSM-5. The reason for this is because people with introverted intuition in their first or second coins typically have extroverted sensing, which is reality, in their bottom 2 coins. And so what is happening is they are getting disconnected fully from reality. That's what schizophrenia basically is. That's when there is a split in that personality type. So that is one example, and later on in the series, I will be doing a video where I kind of break down the patterns between your personality type and what you are most likely to get diagnosed with when your personality type is in crisis or is in neurosis. Basically, think of any movie, Star Wars, The Karate Kid, any lots of anime. Where is the protagonist in that movie if they don't have their wise old guru or mentor? Typically, they never make it onto their hero's journey, right? That's a key part. And the cognitive function that is in this position in your personality stack is your wise old muse or mentor or guru. So again, for me as an INTJ, the function that is in this stack for me is extroverted sensing or SE, or what I call reality within the prime alchemy personality typing system or philosophy system. Again, I haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to call it yet. Maybe it's a philosophy. We'll call it a philosophy. From the prime alchemy philosophy, which means when I am in a neurotic state, I absolutely ignore reality and I get lost in my hunches and in my intuition and in my feelings and my ideas and my organizing. And I don't ever check to see if my hunches or intuition is actually true in reality. And Carl Jung actually called this position the anima or the animus. And I just wanted to touch on that so people didn't think I forgot about it. We're going to do a separate video diving into what the animus and the anima is supposed to do, because it's going to require a little bit of a deep dive, and this video is going to be long enough already. So when your Sage Guru, who's in your fourth valued coin position, when it is unbalanced, what it looks like is it looks like an outlaw. Your fourth coin position unbalanced is the outlaw, which is the opposite of the sage guru. It is an ignored wise mentor who lives on the outskirts of town the townspeople don't interact with. It's neglected. So when we are unbalanced or we repress this function, then the role it becomes is the outlaw in your movie. It is not helping you, it is not inspiring you, and you are ignoring it, which is probably causing problems. For me, as an INTJ, ignoring my guru muse position means that I am ignoring objective reality, which means I will sound crazy. Hopefully, I am not expressing symptoms of that now, okay? What I'm talking about does actually exist in reality, and I've researched this and double-checked and double-checked and double-checked. So what I'm saying right now is not disconnected from reality. It just might seem abstract. And for our last position, it is going to be the unvalued side of our fourth coin position, which is going to be our hero. The hero is also known in other personality typing systems as the demon, the reject, or the outlaw. And for Prime Alchemy, again, we are going to be using hero in this position instead of using outlaw or instead of using demon, because I don't want you to have negative connotations to any of the functions or any of the positions in your stack, because you are capable of fully using all of them. And that is the beauty of this system, is it should be guiding you to more possibilities and growth within your personality, within your psyche, within your life, and not limiting you to stereotypes or failures. So the hero position, which is the unvalued side of your fourth coin, is the hero to the protagonist. It saves the day. It seeks to find honesty and truth, integrity, and can bring priceless wisdom. It is the MacGuffin of your life's narrative. You seek to find peace within this function. And what do I mean by it's the MacGuffin of your life movie? It basically is that orb, you know, that tesseract, that thing in a movie that you are seeking, that your hero's journey is trying to find. Okay, it's that unvalued fourth position function that you are seeking to find security within your life. You are seeking to find that rest, that peace within your existence. And for me, as an INTJ, this function, my hero function, is going to be introverted sensing, or what we have called memory. And so because introverted sensing is about inner body sensations, it's about memory, it's about homeostasis, security, comfort, right? That ooh, good comfort that is all inside and cuddly and warm. That is my MacGuffin. That is my tesseract. That is my orb that I am seeking to find. I am seeking to find homeostasis, security, my memories within a community or a tribe or a group, so I can feel home. I'm seeking home. I'm trying to get home in this abstract way within my life existence. I'm trying to find home. Aren't we all? The cognitive function in the hero position can often be forgotten and ignored, but can be the devil and angel on your shoulder. It can be tamed and becomes the hero of your life's narrative by nurturing your sage and guru function. When your hero, which is your unvalued fourth coin, when it is unbalanced, when you ignore it, when you don't nurture it, then similar to the producer, which is your unvalued first coin, it's going to sabotage your story because it becomes the villain. So an unbalanced hero is going to be a villain. Thanos. Think of this function, think of the unvalued side of your fourth coin as like whether that villain becomes a villain. If Thanos had had a better, childhood or pre-life, then he maybe wouldn't have wanted to kill half the people on the planet. He may have been able to brainstorm better solutions to that problem. But he had some trauma and he decided to not deal with that and was very repressed. And so he became the villain of the story. Funny thing enough, he's also an INTJ. He was also seeking to find introverted sensing home. And we actually see that at the beginning of, is it Endgame? Or I forget the second movie. The one where they go back in time. In the beginning of it, they go find Thanos, and he is literally like on a fucking farm. Living by himself in this peaceful existence. And like, that is, as an INTJ, like, whew, that is exactly, it's exactly what I'm looking for. Just my own land, a horse I can ride, my family being safe, peace. We cannot find that peace until we have finished our work. Thanos couldn't find that peace until he finished his work. And then he got the ultimate peace, which is the unbalanced, or the villain, sabotages your life story, brings defeating carelessness, and undermines the rest of the characters, including the director and the producer of your narrative. So, to tame the villain, to write your story, okay, we have to work on the third and fourth coin positions. This is where growth is found. These are where the cognitive functions that we need to aspire for within others are found. That's where our growth is. And the first and second position coins is where we tend to thrive without much self-reflection, without much self-help or growth. We can thrive in those functions anyways. They are still not going to be their fullest capacity because they are still unbalanced. They're still going to find a form of success within life. And oftentimes this can keep us in a loop, right? Because we're not using all of our cognitive functions to their full capacity. The director is trying to direct a movie that's not fully written. And so it can navigate, it can improvise, but it is still not getting your full story to its fullest capacity until all the coins in your stack are balanced. They are just up, straight. You are using the introverted and extroverted side at the same balanced capacity. All right, title card so we can wrap this shit up. There was a few other things that I mentioned throughout this video, but I just kind of wanted to recap real quick. Your second coin, which is your protagonist, and your antagonist, that is a communication function. Whichever is the extroverted side of that coin is the function that you are going to communicate in the most, whether it is valued or unvalued. The more that you repress either side of that coin, the more you're going to struggle to communicate with other people. Your second and third coin positions are in a tribe position, meaning that we use these cognitive functions to connect, to resonate, and to help and mentor and nurture the community or the tribe that we find ourselves in. And your first and fourth coin positions are identity positions. So these are things that we pride ourselves in and that our identity is kind of based on, as well as these are functions that we feel the most validated in when other people in our tribe are trying to validate us. So in my second and third position, I have thinking and I have feeling. And these are both deciding functions, and they are in a tribe position. So my role within the tribe oftentimes is making decisions based on those two functions, positions, and ability. And then I have intuition and sensing, or in and S, in my first and fourth coin position. And this is where I identify. When I am helping the tribe or when I am teaching, although it feels great to get validated in, you're a good teacher, which would be validating my T, right? Some of the best validation is, how did you know that's what was going to happen? How did you know that was the question I was going to ask? You're so good at filling in all the data that I was going to ask. How did you know all the pieces? That's my NI and SE. That's my intuition and that's my sensing, right? And using those two things together to deliver information. When people notice those things, ooh, it makes me feel really validated. It makes me feel really validated. because people are going to notice your tribe functions. I get compliments on how effective and efficient I do things because that is my protagonist of my story. T, baby, we are getting things done effective and efficiently, and we are doing them now, okay? People love that because that's something that a lot of people struggle with. But what I really like is when people are like, ooh, you're like really spiritual and are connected with your ancestors and your intuition is like on point. And I'm like, ooh, ooh, I'm feeling seen. So that's the difference between those identity and tribe functions. They're all yours. You all use them as part of your personality, but it's where you're going to use them to navigate and how they can help you connect and engage with your community, your friends, your tribe, your family. Okay, actual conclusion this time. Title card, actual conclusion. Childhood trauma, environmental stressors, and parental programming, conditioning can all hinder the cognitive development of these functions in childhood. These subjective factors, like trauma and parental conditioning, are what make us unique and give us that subjective life experience, but can also hold us back from self-individuating when these functions are repressed or underdeveloped. The path to self-individuation and to consciousness involves developing underdeveloped functions and healing trauma from repressed functions. As we do this, we cause our coin stack, our stack of 4 coins, that is our personality type, starts to balance out. It's not falling over all the time because it's unbalanced. It starts to balance out and we find that measure between these 2 dialectical forces. And as this continues to happen, we start becoming more conscious, empathetic, and aware of our actual self, of other people and their identities and their subjective life experience. We have more empathy for it, as well as more appreciation and understanding for the sensory world, for the outdoors, for the universe, for the planet, for animals. It is similar to that enlightening experience that lots of people talk about when they go do ayahuasca or have a breakthrough mushroom or psychedelic therapy, where you feel more connected to the universe. And because our introverted functions or inner functions are expressing our inner world inside, and our extroverted functions are the only way to express our inner functions to the outside world, wholeness looks like when those 2 sides of our functions, the introverted inner world side and the outer world extroverted side, are balanced. And we aren't pathologically using one side of a coin and not the other. If I am introverting my feelings and I am not using the other side of my feelings coin, which is extroverted feelings, then people are going to think I'm cold, I'm unempathetic, emotionalist. They may even think I'm straight up a fucking sociopath. So it is really important that you don't have incredibly unbalanced or pathological function coins where you are only using one side and you are just letting the other side go to the wayside, because that means one side of you is getting neglected. You're either neglecting an inner part of your world or you are repressing how you are expressing yourself in the outer world, and both of these things are going to cause conflict, going to cause you to harm people, going to cause you to be depressed and full of anxiety and not feel like yourself, and fear. It causes fear. And fear is what causes us to not move, to not grow. Because of trauma and the abuses of the capitalist society that we live in, we let other people write our life story. From parents to teachers to leaders to aunts and uncles, we forfeit our identity and freedom to other beings that are not conscious and who are not writing their own story. Don't forfeit. Controlling your own life's narrative, your own life story, being the main character and protagonist in your life story, the one that you actually want to play in. Don't forfeit that to live your life by somebody else's written story, who probably didn't write their own story, who is dealing with trauma from their parents who didn't write their story, right? Take it back. End the generational trauma and write your own fucking story. Take back control of your life's narrative, because you need to be a conscious being to write that fucking story. And because I want to see it. Okay? I'm sick of these shitty movies. I want to see your fucking story, your life movie. I want to see it playing out. Look, I'm fucking losing my necklaces. I want to see it playing out in front of me. People enjoy expressing themselves and their own identity and their life story. This capitalist fucking conformist world we live in, it's fucking boring. Aren't you bored? I'm bored. I'm bored and I'm tired. I'm bored and I'm tired. And I want to see all of the beautiful fucking rainbow and like all the intersections and the shades of humanity. That's what I want to see. Because this beige ass, capitalist ass, consumer ass, commodity ass, non art ass fucking society we live in sucks and is boring. And I feel like I'm living in a black and white fucking society. So let's change that. Thank you for watching. My name has been Brittany. This has been Disruptive Philosophy. This has been lesson 2B, where we talked about the positions within our personality coin stack. The next part of this series, we are going to finally get into what I'm sure everybody is ready for, which is understanding the personality archetypes. And I believe I'm going to be doing individual videos for each personality type. Or what I might do is do individual videos for each personality archetype twins, like superpowered twins, super twins. So your super twin is the other personality archetype that has your same dominant director function. And so I may break it up like that. I haven't decided yet. But please comment down below, do the YouTube things, check out past live streams on Disrupted Bodies. There's also clips. Check out the rest of this series if you have not. And please help me in the algorithm. Make a comment, make a detailed comment, or make a short comment, but write something, like the video. You guys know how it works. I don't necessarily want this channel. I don't need the channel to grow. I need people just to get this information, okay? The revolution, we need it to happen. I'm an anarchist. This is part of my anarchist revolutionary action, is to help people find themselves. So please go do that. Write your own goddamn narrative. Take it back. Take it back from your parents who are probably writing it because they conditioned you when you were a child. All right, bye. And I want to, and like mentioned, and like mentioned, but there are, for me, the function that is that is the cognitive function that is in my, what they find funny and seeing what, and don't forfeit your, don't forfeit your own life